Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 250. I am your host, Keith Andrew, along here with Alex Bowie. And I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Now, for people who want to know what my talk show is about, basically the whole point of my talk show is to show people that even with having a learning disability, I can still overcome controversy and reach my goals in life. At the same time, I'm able to turn myself into a perfect example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities that you should never give up or have people label you, and you should prove to them you can still amount to something no matter what. But labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be. So this is about a half hour, 35 minutes of your time. Yeah, as much time as you like, see how it goes. And starting off, what can you tell us about yourself?
Well, to start from the very beginning, I guess I'm from New York City, born and raised. I am a mom of three, of a 23-year-old, a son named Javin, an 18-year-old son who's about to go off to college, and I have an 11-year-old daughter. Her name is Giselle. My middle son's name is Jaden. I'm a writer, and I am a performer as well. And also, I have a production company, and where I work on documentaries and other projects that come my way or that I come up with. And that's basically me in a nutshell. I mean, right now I'm living in Nyack, New York, which is about 25 miles outside of New York City. And, it's a very cool, quaint, very artistic, environment to be in. It's safe, and everybody knows everybody more or less. And so, yeah, that's basically it.
No, absolutely. One request I do have to ask for you is actually a couple questions I talk to you after the show, but for the camera view, is there a way you can prop up the camera and you can like sit down and relax? So I don't want it to be like
Okay.
for you to stand in the whole time.
No, I'm sitting. And yeah, this is fine. I'm relaxed.
All right, just trying to help out. Now,
hmm
what can you tell us about your production company, number one? And number two, would you be interested in writing a documentary about me?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And basically, my production company focuses on the potential of everyone. I I have a documentary series that it's that I am actually starting up, and it's called Light. And basically, it focuses on uh, the the people who don't normally get focused on, and it brings out it shows their life, and it gives some people insight into their lives, and it's done in a beautiful way through photography and beautifully shot video. And it's just it's a very introspective and very enlightening documentary series of documentary shorts that I'll be doing. And when I say documentary shorts, I mean that it's going to probably be like 15, 20 minutes, and I will be like showing one a month, and probably doing that and maybe more than that as we progress. But you would be an absolute great subject for that. I would absolutely love to do that. Like my first interview is of a woman. She's from the Philippines, and when she was 45 years old, she unfortunately lost her husband. and she was so devastated by her loss. And so what she did was she was walking. Lives in New York City. She was walking by the Y, and they were offering ballet classes. And so she decided to take a ballet class just for the distraction from what she was going through. And she started dancing, and she actually became a ballerina professionally at the age of 45. And that's unheard of. I mean, starting at the age of like 12, 13 is actually pushing it as far as age is concerned. You start becoming a ballerina when you're like a teenage, like a child. And so here is a woman who's 45 years old and is starting, and not only is she a ballet, no, she dances with a company in Connecticut. I mean, she's a professional dancer. I mean, and she started at 45, and that was like more than 15 years ago. So she's still, she's in her 50s, 60s actually, and she's still a professional dancer. And she's a beautiful woman, and it's just unbelievable and just very inspiring. So, that's who I like to cover, people who just, who break all, barriers and limitations, And so so you would be absolutely a perfect subject for me.
No, absolutely. Now, was there any, I'll pass it to you now, was there any projects you're promoting? Was there any subjects you like to talk about? Anything you want to ask me? This is your time, after all.
Well, I don't know a whole lot about you. I would be curious to know, your story. So, because I think you'd be a great subject for light.
All right. Well, for the highlights, there's a lot of different variations of the story I use. One of it is I use my brother for an inspiration. He thinks I'm an ass kisser. The other variation of the story would be, well, it's not like a story like I'm making it up. It's it's the truth, but it's different. Over the years, it came up as different variations. But recently, I'm the youngest out of 4 brothers and 1 sister. Everyone dealt with a disability one time or another, but they did their own thing. And one day, one of my brothers were talking. It's like, oh, I can help you get a job. I can help you do this and do that. And I said, what about me? And they stopped, and everyone looked at me. It's like, what about you? And I said, you're going to work in retail. You don't have this. You don't have that. You screw up everything you touch. You're not going to amount to anything. We don't know what to do with you. So I said, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to show you that I'm passionate and capable of doing something. And knock on wood, I've been doing this show for 3 years. I haven't screwed it up for myself. Even though I did come across some people who were stiff and they weren't who they said they were. But, there's other people I came across I became friends with, and they said I'm doing a good thing. But, for the longest time, I've been using my learning disability as a crutch. Can't go to college, I can't drive, I can't have a normal job, and people like to make limitations for me. So I said, screw it. I'm going to show you that even if I can't drive or have a BA or a bachelor's or whatever fancy title you want to have it, I'm capable of doing something that I love. I want to do this until I die. And I'm not saying that to be cute. I'm just saying that that's how passionate I am.
Right. And you should be. You should be. And it's amazing to find, your purpose. And I think that's the reason why we're all here, and it's interesting. I think everybody has challenges. Some are greater than others. I look at, I was taking my son to get oral surgery. He had to have some teeth extracted, and 4 teeth, a lot of teeth at one time. But I was feeling a little, it's just, it didn't start out as a great day. But then I went to the hospital and to get it done. And when I went to the hospital, there was a young girl who's sitting in a wheelchair, and she had she had some sort of disability. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but I think that, or I would say challenge. I wouldn't say disability, I would say challenge. But it looked like there was like probably half of her brain was like either pushed to the side or missing, because like literally half her head, the top of her skull, was gone. And she was sitting in the wheelchair, and her mom was pushing her. And and I looked at that, and it was a clear sign to me that whatever I'm dealing with at the time, I have to consider myself very blessed.
Right.
Because my children, I'm not challenged as a mom, with a child who has those challenges. But to be honest with you, I think that they're just such incredible, beautiful spirits. I think that this is something, whereas you see, some people may see them having a deficit, I see them as having a greater spirit, or something just so much greater about them. And I just, there's a greater love and respect that I have, for people who are challenged. I think that, if you believe in a higher power, I believe that that higher power brought you into this world, into this reality, with those challenges to make a difference, to actually to make the world a better place. And I don't know, we all have something that we have to overcome. Some are physical, some are mental, and and then there are those who have spiritual challenges too. And so it's what we do with that, how we, what we end up doing, if we end up making this world a better place, just for a moment, just one person, is you have fulfilled your purpose, and so I think every life is incredible, with great value. That's why when anyone loses their life, it's tragic. I mean, I don't, sometimes people do things that put themselves in a position to lose their life, but it's so tragic, because everybody has value. Everybody has incredible value. So yeah, I disagree with what people have said about you. I'm very disturbed by that.
Right.
But and sometimes our family, whom we love, unconditionally, sometimes can be the most challenging group of people around us. So just because we're born into the family doesn't mean that they always know what's best for us. So I would disagree. I think that you could do anything you want. I think that anybody who has any mental challenges, they may not be able to get a BA in a certain time period like most people, but I think you still can. I think that by very definition, it doesn't mean that you can't learn. It just means that you're learning at differently. You're learning at maybe a little bit slower pace, or a different pace, but it doesn't mean that you can't learn. It doesn't mean that you can't earn that degree. It's the very opposite, actually.
No, absolutely. Now, the next question I was going to ask you was, when you first started your company, who influenced you, and how did all that come about?
Well, I started I started taking photographs when I was 10 years old, and I've always considered myself a creative, like very artistic person, but I just didn't know what I, I drew and I danced and I did all of those things, but I think that the photography was the one thing that just spoke to me, and I never left it. And so what I did was when I went away to college, I studied broadcasting, and before I went away to college, I was in high school, and they had a broadcast studio in this high school, which is very uncommon. At the time, it wasn't that common. I might be more common now. And I went to all girls Catholic school in Manhattan. So it just seems like sometimes, you have to look for the signs. That's one thing I'm learning. I learned all this week, actually, is that you have to pay attention to the road signs. And metaphorically, that means that as you're going through your life, as you're going down different roads, and you make choices to go down different roads, you have to look for the signs to see which one is the best road to go down for you to fulfill your purpose. So it just so happened that I got into this high school that happened to have a studio, and it was my best class. It was my favorite class. And I didn't even know that they had a studio until I just discovered it one day. And then from there, I started broadcasting and worked at ABC News for a brief stint, worked for different production companies. And then I just decided, after I had my second son, that it was important to break out on my own, because I needed to really command my own hours. Because I had, the unfortunate thing about working in broadcasting, especially news, is that it's like working for the CIA in a way. Your life is not your own. They own you. Sometimes you don't see your kids like all week, and all you see them on the weekends, and that's it. And I just didn't want to be that kind of mom, so I decided to, branch out on my own. And so as far as influences are concerned, of course, there's always Oprah Winfrey. She's like my number one influence. But as far as a woman and as a broadcaster, she's the biggest one. I know that, like, for a brief period of time, I worked with Peter Jennings when he was with ABC News and World News Tonight. He was just an amazing man. He was a very giving, very intelligent, a nice guy, just a simply nice guy. And he influenced me a great deal. He was the kind of guy that he could be in the middle of like the biggest news story in the world, but when his children called, he would stop everything and no one would disturb him while he engaged with his children. And he felt that way about a lot of children. He just loved children, and you have to respect somebody who loves children. And so he was a huge influence on me, and wanting to use the camera, use my words, to influence people, and to, in a good way, positive way.
Well, okay, well, you used me for a perfect example. This is sound like an oxymoron on my part, but I don't see I'm trying to turn myself into an inspiration. A lot of people say I am, but I guess I don't know. I don't see it. So from your point of view, what's your opinion?
Yes, of course you're an inspiration. I was, I'm sorry it took me so long to go on your show. I just got caught up in my own, mess, my own life. But, of course you're absolute influence, and you're absolute positive influence. There are how many people out there are just like you, and how many of them get an opportunity to see this and, and say, okay, well, then I could do something. That's true. There's so many people out there who have, challenges just like you, maybe even greater. And they know that they can do something. So of course you're a great influence.
Now, what would you say to all those naysayers that say otherwise?
Well, what I say to all the naysayers that say otherwise is that, steer your own ship. Don't tell other people how to live their life. Don't put labels on people. Don't put limitations on people. Because, the thing is that when people do that, they're basically looking in a mirror. When somebody says you can't do something, or you're not, or you are something, they want to put you in a category or label you, they're basically looking at themselves and saying that. Like, for example, someone says, you're ugly and I hate you. Basically what they're saying is, I hate myself and I think I'm ugly. People only see how they feel. And if they feel that way inside, then that's what the issue is. So when somebody says something to you, don't take it personally. It's nothing personal. It's their own issues. It's their own baggage. It's their own problem. Here I am as a Black woman. There's a lot of labels that people put on me. And there's a lot of stereotypes and a lot of expectations that they have that I don't necessarily meet. But I have to, but I refuse to accept those labels, because this is a shell. This is, a skin. Our bodies don't define our souls. Our souls are perfect. They're complete. There's nothing imperfect about them. And so we have, and that's our greatest self. That's our true self. That's souls. So whatever shell, you are carrying your spirit in, that has nothing to do with who you truly are. So to all of those people who are so preoccupied with other people and their lives, get your life, get your own life,
No, absolutely. Now, wrapping up, one, how can people follow you on social media? Are you on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Stage 32, YouTube?
Yes, I'm on Alexsandra. I'm Alexsandra Patricia Bowie on Facebook, on Facebook, and then let's see, Alexa126 on Twitter. I can never remember all these things, and Alexsandra126 on. I'm sorry, Alexa126 on Instagram, and then Alexsandra126. And that's ALEXSANDRA126 on Twitter. And so you could follow me. I have a page on Facebook called For Light. So those documentaries will be coming out soon. And I'd love to see you in one of those, interview you one day soon for Light. So we got to keep in touch for that purpose. And so everyone will get a chance to see you, hopefully. And check out the page on Facebook, Light.
Now we're wrapping up. Well, we can always talk about that off the air. But one last question I was going to ask you is, I took this from The Factor of Bill O'Reilly. Going on the record, when I first approached you, what was your honest opinion of me? And after doing the interview, how do you feel now?
I think you're an intelligent, articulate, very, very talented young man. I think that you have a spirit that is uncomparable, and I think that you deserve all the good things that are going to come your way.